Okay, so picture this for a second. You're standing in your living room.
Mm-hmm.
The TV is on, and it's just blasting the Grammy Awards coverage. You know the sound.
Oh, yeah. Total chaos.
Right. Red carpet chaos flashbulbs, people shouting names, and commentators dissecting every single dress with, like, this surgical precision. It's loud, it's shiny, it's all about the outside.
Your performance of it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, turn away from the screen,
Mm.
look down. You're holding a pile of laundry. Quiet. You're just standing there. You're just existing.
That is a jarring juxtaposition, isn't it? It's the difference between being a spectacle and, well, just being a person.
And that contrast, the noise of the red carpet versus the quiet of folding clothes, that's the opening to the piece we're really unpacking today.
I'm excited for this.
It's a Substack essay. It's called Not a Performance, Notes on a Neurodivergent Femininity, and it's by Jaime Hoerricks, Ph.D.
Such a compelling piece of writing. The subtitle actually grabbed me before I even read the first line.
What was it again?
I dress in layers the way rivers keep memories.
I dress in layers the way rivers keep memories. That is beautiful, but I'll be honest, it's a little abstract for me right off the bat.
Sure.
What is she getting at? Is this about hiding, or is this, a fashion thing?
It's kind of neither, and it's also both. She's setting up her main argument right there. Exploring femininity not as that performance for an audience like the Grammys, but as a lived climate.
A lived climate. Okay, hang on. When I hear climate, I think weather. Is she talking about moods? Or how her environment affects her?
It's more about the internal environment. I mean, think about how weather just is.
Right, it just happens.
It happens to you. You don't perform a thunderstorm for someone. You just, you endure it. You dress for it. And so Hoerricks is saying her experience of herself, especially as a neurodivergent trans woman, is about navigating that internal sensory reality.
Not about putting on a show.
Exactly. Not about putting on a show for the outside world.
So that's our mission today. We're going to get into the gears of that. We're looking at this intersection of neurodivergence, transition, and self-perception. And moving away from all those societal checklists.
And toward a more authentic internal experience of yourself.
Precisely. And to get there, we have to go back to that Grammy coverage she mentions.
Right. She's doing her chores and she's listening to these commentators.
And the language they use is, well, it's revealing.
It's brutal. She says they talk about women like seasonal fruit.
Ripe or overripe, daring or obedient.
Which is just... It's such a gross way to think about people. Like, is she in season this year? Has she expired?
It's pure commodification. But this is where her specific perspective, her neurodivergent lens, makes this really interesting observation.
What's that?
She says they don't just sound mean, they sound like accountants speaking of spreadsheets.
Accountants speaking of spreadsheets. That's a very specific image. I'm picturing someone with a clipboard.
Checking boxes.
Yeah. Hair length, check. Waist size, check. But it's colder than that, you see. It implies that for the media, womanhood is a calculation. Hoerricks writes they treat it as a checklist of textures and ratios.
Oh, wow.
It's all analytical. Does the dress fit the body type ratio? Is the behavior obedient enough? It just strips the human element away completely. It's about passing a test.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah.
Doesn't everyone feel that? I mean, man, woman, trans, cis, we all feel judged. We all feel like we're being graded. What makes her experience different?
That's a fair question. We do all feel that societal gaze. But Hoerricks says the test feels like it's being given by an invisible examiner.
An invisible examiner.
And for her, as a neurodivergent person, the rules of that test are, and this is her word, untranslatable.
Untranslatable.
Well, think of it this way. For a lot of neurodivergent people, social norms like fashion rules or gender expectations, they can feel like a language you never quite mastered.
So you can memorize the phrases, but it never feels natural.
Exactly. It never feels native. She says she feels this familiar distance open up between her and what's on the TV. The language they're using, this performance language of daring versus obedient, it's just static to her. It doesn't compute.
So it's not that she doesn't care about fashion. It's that the social coding of it all, it just doesn't connect with her reality.
Because her reality isn't a coded signal. Her reality is laundry and chilly mornings.
Right. And she contrasts that performance with her actual morning routine. She says it isn't choreography.
It's about weather.
There's that weather idea again. I like that distinction. Choreography is for an audience, so they'll clap. Weather is just what you have to deal with to get through the day.
And she gives us these incredibly specific sensory details about her clothes to prove it. This isn't about looking hot. It's regulation.
So she wears a cardigan for the cold mountain pre-dawn.
Purely functional, like gear.
And a scarf for when the sun comes out later.
But then there's this line about her trousers that just stopped me. She wears linen trousers specifically to, and this is a quote, make room for thighs shaped by decades of living.
Wow. Thighs shaped by decades of living.
Yeah.
That's such a heavy line, but in a really gentle way.
It anchors her femininity in her actual physical body, not some social idea of what a body should be.
It also hints at history, doesn't it? If your thighs are shaped by decades of living, that means there's a past there. It connects back to that river metaphor.
You're spot on. And from a neurodivergent perspective, clothing is often a sensory minefield.
Oh, totally. A scratchy tag can ruin your whole day.
It can be completely deregulating. So when she chooses linen to make room, she's prioritizing her body's comfort and its history over the spreadsheet.
So we have this rejection of the performance, but then the essay pivots to something that, on the surface, feels like the ultimate performance.
The selfie.
The mere selfie. Now, usually when we talk about selfies, we're thinking vanity.
Right, or at least seeking validation,
Right.
like, my photo, tell me I look good.
But Hoerricks reframes this completely.
She does. She says they started almost accidentally, and this is crucial. She says it wasn't about vanity, it was documentation.
Documentation.
She calls them proofs that the surface was shifting.
Proofs. Like evidence.
More data points in a study. I mean, think about what it means to transition. It's a second puberty. Your body is changing, your chemistry is changing, so the camera serves a different function. It's not for others. It's for confirming reality for yourself.
And she lists these tiny blink and you'll miss it changes.
How small?
Curls lengthening by half centimeters. A face learning new expressions.
And my favorite one, the odd pleasure of painted nails catching the light on a bus window.
And I love that. It's that moment you catch a glimpse of yourself in a reflection and you think, oh, right, that's me now.
And that leads to what I think is one of the most profound points in the whole piece. She writes that over time, the camera lens softened. It went from an interrogation to a conversation.
Okay, let's unpack that. Interrogation to conversation. Because I think a lot of us, regardless of gender, treat the mirror like an interrogation room.
Oh, absolutely. When you look in the mirror, what are you doing? You're checking for flaws. You're asking, do I pass? Is this right? What's wrong here?
That's the interrogation. That's the invisible examiner you were talking about.
Exactly. Are you ripe or overripe? But for her, as she settles into herself, the mirror becomes a conversation. It's a check-in. How are we doing today? Who are we today? It's relational, not judgmental.
And she admits she didn't set out to document her transition. She says, I set out to survive ordinary days.
That phrase, survive ordinary days, it just carries so much weight. It strips away all the sensationalism that gets attached to trans narratives.
Right. We see the tragedy or the triumph, the before and after, but not the middle.
Not the survival of just getting through a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And the camera becomes this quiet witness to that survival.
And speaking of reality, she doesn't shy away from the stuff that isn't,
Yeah.
Instagram perfect.
Not all.
She mentions her face being red-cheeked from mast cell storms. Now, I've heard of mast cell activation syndrome, or MCS, but remind me, and everyone listening, what is that? It sounds intense.
It can be very intense. So in plain English, MCAS is when your body's immune cells, the mast cells, get oversensitive, they overreact, they release chemicals in response to triggers that shouldn't be a big deal, like heat or stress.
So it's like having a random allergic reaction to just life.
Potentially, yes. It causes flushing, inflammation, rashes, these storms she talks about. So when her face is a storm, her body is disobeying. It's not a smooth canvas. It's a reactive biological map.
You can't perform prettiness when your body is having an immune response.
You can't. And that just drives home the lived climate idea. You don't control a storm, you weather it.
Which brings us back to that subtitle.
Dressed in layers like a cautious river.
Okay, so now that we have all the pieces, the body's history, the sensory needs, the storms, how does the river metaphor work? Why a river?
Think about a river versus, say, a canal. A canal is man-made, straight, predictable. It's the spreadsheet version of water.
Right.
A river meanders. It has currents. It has depths you can't see. And crucially, a river is defined by its layers.
Layers of water.
Layers of history, sediment. The water on top is moving fast, reacting to the weather. But underneath, you have the slow current and the riverbed itself, shaped by centuries. She's saying her identity is like that,
An inventory of clothes and body and memory.
all mixed together. And the layers of clothing, the cardigans, the scarves, they aren't just for style. They're like riverbanks. They offer protection.
Right. They help you manage the sensory input.
It's a way of keeping the river safe.
And the result of all of this, the laundry, the selfies, the layers, isn't that she suddenly thinks she's a supermodel?
No, and that's the beauty of it.
She doesn't say, now I'm finally beautiful.
The surprise isn't how she looks. It's that, as she says, I no longer mind looking.
I no longer mind looking. That's freedom.
It's the end of the war with yourself. It's acceptance.
But of course, you don't live in a vacuum. You live in a world of paperwork. And Hoerricks takes us from this internal peace straight to the headache of bureaucracy.
The official metamorphosis, as she calls it.
Courthouse forms. Judges. The DMV. The DMV photo.
The worst.
I can't imagine the pressure of that one photo defining your entire gender identity to the world.
It's so high stakes. She describes it as an attempt to summarize a life in 2 inches of laminate.
Which is impossible for anyone.
It is, but for a trans person, it's about legibility. It's the state recognizing you. And she uses this brilliant metaphor to explain how it feels to others. She says colleagues realize the person they already knew has just been translated into the right alphabet.
Translated into the right alphabet. I want to circle back to that because it's poetic, but what does that look like practically?
Well, think of it this way. Imagine you have a favorite book. For years, you've only seen it written in a complicated code. You know the story, you get the characters, but it's hard to read.
Okay, I'm with you.
Then suddenly, someone hands you the book in plain English. The story hasn't changed. The protagonist is the same. The history is the same. But now, it's readable. It makes sense.
That is a fantastic way to put it. So she's saying, I haven't changed. I've just finally become legible to you.
Exactly. The content of the book is the same. The alphabet just finally matches the language.
That's so helpful.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people feel like transition is about erasing the past. But this argues the past is still there. It's just being republished.
Precisely. But society lags behind. It takes a while for people to learn the new alphabet. She mentions students still ignoring she was never Mr. She mentions names changing on email headers. All these social things have to catch up to the internal reality.
It sounds, honestly, exhausting, the friction of it all.
It is friction. But despite it all, despite the DMV, the students, the Grammys, she lands on this very solid self-definition.
A tall, capable trans woman learning her name.
Learning her name. I love that. The present continuous tense.
Right.
It's ongoing. She's capable. She's tall, taking up space, and she's still learning.
It circles back to that idea of becoming rather than just being. It's not a final destination.
No. And if we zoom out, we've traveled from that external noise of judgment, the seasonal fruit comments, all the way to the internal quiet of folding laundry and self-recognition.
It's a journey from performative femininity
Checking the boxes on the spreadsheet.
to a grounded, sensory, authentic femininity.
And it challenges us to look at identity differently. We want people to fit in boxes because it makes us comfortable. It's easier for the accountant if the spreadsheet balances.
Right. Check this box. Wear this dress. Because if you don't fit the ratio, you confuse the system.
But Hoerricks is saying, no, I am a climate. I am a river. I have weather. And you can't put weather in a spreadsheet.
I think that's why this essay hits home, even if you aren't trans or neurodivergent. Because who hasn't felt that pressure to perform for the invisible examiner?
Absolutely. That is a universal source of anxiety. And she shows us the way to disarm that examiner isn't to perform better.
It's not to get better at the choreography.
It's to stop performing altogether and start documenting your own reality.
To turn the interrogation into a conversation.
Exactly.
So what's the takeaway for us, for the listeners? I think it's a permission slip.
A permission slip for what?
To dress for your own weather. To see your reflection as a friend, not a suspect. To realize your identity isn't a checklist you have to complete for somebody else.
And maybe even more importantly, to recognize that the people around us are also going through their own weather.
And this is where it gets really interesting for me, that alphabet metaphor. If we really take that to heart, it changes how we interact with people who are changing.
It really does. Because often when someone transitions or changes careers or has a major life shift, we act like they've become a stranger. We mourn the old person.
We struggle to read them.
But if we see their new social identity, their name, title, photo as just a translation, then we realize the person is still there.
Right.
We just need to learn the new alphabet they're using.
It shifts the burden, doesn't it? Instead of them having to explain themselves to us, it's on us to learn how to read the new text.
And to accept that the text might be complex, it might have layers, it might be a cautious river.
And it might have thighs shaped by decades of living. I am never going to forget that line.
It's a reminder that we are all cumulative beings. We carry our history. We're the sum of our days, our laundry, our storms.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought. We talked about the DMV, the emails, the names, the official markers.
The paperwork of existence.
Right. But think about the people you know, the people you love. If all their paperwork disappeared tomorrow, if their name, their title, their laminate summary just vanished, would you still know them?
You'd know them by their weather.
Exactly. You would know them by their weather. So next time you feel like you're performing for that invisible examiner, maybe just stop, fold some laundry, check your own climate, and see what alphabet feels right for you today.
A beautiful place to leave it.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.